Welcome back to the Love in Lebanon podcast. I'm your host, Joe LePage. In episode 102, we chat with Jason Dennis and Kylen Trent from the Lebanon Street Department. Being a couple of the new guys on the street team, Kylen and Jason share what first attracted them to the job and what they enjoy most about the gig. Episode 102 of the Love in Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everyone, we're here on the podcast and we are talking all things street department and a couple of newbies, a couple new guys with our street department joining us. We've got Kylen and Jason. Guys, thank you for being here on the podcast. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Now, I got to know, I always ask, and they're rarely honest with me because Dave is sitting here in the room, but how does it happen where your boss says, hey, you're going to be on a podcast? Is this voluntary or are you using up a lunch break? How does this all work?
Well, it kind of came just out of nowhere, but it was pretty voluntary on both of our halves, just very small selection of the new guys here, and so we were both perfectly happy with doing it. Perfectly
happy and the perfect guys for the job, right? Because hardest workers and the new guys, that's where you guys fit in.
That'll work. That'll work. I'll take that.
So how long have you guys both, Jason, we'll start with you. How long have you been with the street department?
3 months.
Would you say the best 3 months of your life?
I wouldn't go that far, but it is good. And I wouldn't go that far, but it is good.
He's honest. And Kylen, how about you, bud?
I'm closing in on my 1 year now. Just 1 or 2 months short on that, but I'm getting pretty close.
And from 3 months or 1 year, what was it about the street department that said, hey, other than a job being open and you fit in the skill set, what do you think?
I always heard great things from my dad about the job, and I knew a couple of the guys working, so it seemed like a really good opportunity, benefits-wise, pay-wise. Just seemed like a good job for where I was at in life.
And how's that been? Has it been the case so far?
Yeah, I've enjoyed the job a lot. Management out there is really nice. The people I'm working with are really nice. They've been helpful all the way along, teaching me new things, giving me new opportunities, and learning experiences.
Jason?
About the same. To be honest, I've got both relatives that work there, so they pushed me to get it. And I was already working in Lebanon, so I already knew the streets and everything, so... But it's exactly what I thought it would be. It really is.
Now, there are some unpredictable things, and Mother Nature kind of threw quite a bit of snow on us, some wet, heavy, kind of pain-in-the-butt snow, if we can be honest. How did that all go? Had you guys ever driven snowplow trucks before, and how was it kind of navigating the streets and keeping the roads clear? And you guys did a magnificent job. It was really well done by the street department.
I like plowing the streets. It's fun. You got to watch out. You got to keep your attention on at all times because you never know what's going to happen or who's going to be in the road or anything like that. But I generally like it. Every once in a while you have frustrating moments like everything else, but generally it's fun.
Kylen, same thing?
My first time driving a plow truck, when my dad worked here 4 or 5 years ago, I was able to ride with him once. And it was cool watching it as a younger kid. Doing it now, I don't want to say it makes you anxious, but like Jason said, it is a lot to pay attention to. You have to be aware of where cars are at all around you at all times. Got to make sure you're not leaving trails or anything anywhere. Got to make sure all aspects of your truck are working throughout the night because everybody needs to be able to see you while you're doing that because you can't go normal speed limits like everybody else can. You've got to go a little bit slower to make sure you're salting the roads right, that your plow's actually grabbing the snow like it's supposed to, so... lot to pay attention to.
And that's great perspective, too. And I'm not sure what he was thinking, but a couple of years back, Dave let me get behind the wheel and get in the snowplow, and it's exactly that. I mean, it's an intense deal because, I was worried about hitting, the medians that are there, some of the bridges as well, and you don't want to take out somebody's mailbox. And
all the potholes.
All that.
Potholes and getting the
manhole covers. Oh, man. I mean,
all
that stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just sit in and drive. But you guys know that already. Mm-hmm. How tough was it with it being so heavy and kind of being tough to maneuver? Any kind of hurdles that way?
Well, to be honest, we're actually pal partners. He either follows me or I follow him, and it really wasn't that bad. Like I said, you just have to pay attention because you never know where cars are going to come out of or if they're going to pay attention. So it's not that bad. You just 100% attention all the time because if you dare lose attention, you will hurt something if you can.
Gotcha.
So.
And everybody, we're talking with Kylen and Jason. They're some of the newer employees with our street team. And you talked about plow partners. How does that all work out? And you're going out in tandem, obviously, but by the title. But what's the kind of the philosophy there with you guys, and what makes you work well together in tandem?
From what I understand,
or not, as Jason's looking.
The goal of plowing in tandem like that is so one of us can kind of hug closer to the center of the street and push it closer to the curb, and then the one following would grab what was just pushed closer to the curb and hopefully move it up and off the road out of the way so we can clear the roads. Having two trucks like that limits how many times we would have to go up and down a road to get it completely cleared off. It makes it a whole lot quicker so we can get the roads opened up much faster.
Also eliminates blind spots. Like, we're constantly communicating with each other, telling, hey, there's a car coming up here, car back there. And when we're clearing out, like, the intersections, we block in the roads so nobody's interfering with what we're doing, so we're keeping everybody safe. That way, when you have two people, there's always witnesses, and that way we can protect each other.
Yeah, it sounds like there are a lot of pluses there. I'm guessing that's a pretty effective way to do things, and you guys are pretty big fans of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How much have you guys seen, either pictures or in real life, being able to go to the new location from where you guys at? Because right now it's on Lafayette Avenue, and everyone, for the most part, knows where the street department garage is. Have you guys seen the new digs? You excited about going over to that area where it doesn't hold water so much and all the toilets do flush? We're saying 100% of the time. You guys excited about the new digs?
Definitely excited for the new shop. It looks great out there. Everything looks to be coming along great. From what I've heard, construction crews said that everything's on time to get done. I was able to see some of the layout for the new building, business plans and whatnot. It looks great. Love that we're going to have more than one bathroom. That's going to be great for... well,
for a variety of reasons, but
yeah. But shop size is great. Being able to get all of our trucks indoors will be really helpful, especially when winter comes around, not having to worry about how the diesels are doing outside, a cramped shop. I think it'll be a great move for us.
Mm-hmm. And it has kind of an access point. And if you're listening, this is kind of where the Gene Haas Center is, just behind there, the Vincennes area, and across the street from the Holiday Inn. It's kind of a centralized point where you can leave and kind of hit all points in the city pretty effectively, leaving from that one location, as opposed to being on Lafayette Avenue and having quite a bit of traffic there and trying to be able to get out and get to opposite sides of the city. And if you don't mind, can we kind of talk about the upbringing a little bit? What brought you to Lebanon, whether you're born and raised here or whether you're a transplant? And it's okay if you're a transplant. There's some of us, like myself, who have grown to love Lebanon and we're just enticed to be here and thought about being here just for a short amount of time, and then a decade later, you're still here and loving it.
So I was born in Frankfort, lived in Clinton County most of my life. Ended up moving to Lebanon to be closer to family, and we've kind of stuck around since then. I moved here in 6th grade, been here since high school, and I've enjoyed it. It's weird seeing it grow so much. Never expected it to grow as much as it has, but not all development's bad development, and it's interesting to see where the town's going as a whole.
So Kylen, not necessarily born and raised, but a significant portion of life here. Jason,
and
similar?
I was actually born and raised in Liston.
Okay.
So I still live where I was born and raised at, and I just come to Lebanon all the time. Worked in Lebanon before I got on the street department, so I've been around Lebanon all my life pretty much.
Yeah, and actually, Kylen, you kind of talked about and kind of have transitioned well into my next question. How have you seen it kind of change since growing up in Liston has changed in its own right, and Lebanon is really taking on a transformational kind of feel to it. Have you guys seen your relative cities change and life in general change over the years?
A lot bigger, and just a lot bigger. A lot more cars going around. A lot more stuff to pay attention to.
I'm guessing that's kind of bittersweet. You kind of have that small town feel, kind of wanting that, but at the same time, I mean,
I live on a 100-acre farm, so when I come to Lebanon, it's different than what I live at. But it's not necessarily bad. It's just different. It's just different.
Yeah.
So,
and Kylen, you kind of alluded to it, but Lebanon has changed over the years and continues to do so pretty significantly.
Moving here was already weird as it is. I don't know how many people have been to the small town of Michigan Town. There's not a whole lot there. There is nothing there. But moving from there to Kirkland to eventually here in Lebanon, it is much bigger than what I was used to, and seeing it continue to grow is interesting to me. Even though I've spent most of my adult life here, it's odd seeing and functioning in a larger town.
How do you guys feel about being part of that growth as well? Because as the city grows, the need grows, the street department has grown, and guys, and the employment is there because of what's needed within a city that is growing. Definitely
looking for the challenge. Always challenges. The bigger they are, the more challenges you get into. The weirder calls you can get. That's for sure.
So Jason's digging the challenge. He's ready. He's ready to rock and roll. So what do you guys feel like are strong suits with the Lebanon Street team? We can kind of wrap up, but with kind of the skill set that you guys bring to the table. But what's that nucleus? What's that kind of with Dave and Lannon and the rest of the street team? How do you guys get along, and what kind of makes that special, that whole dynamic?
Well, my experience being there only 3 months is there's a good group of guys there right now, and it seems like everybody has your back. Granted, we kid each other, obviously, with work environment. But
really, that goes on? Is that?
Yeah. But that, and Dave 100% has our backs. He's made that very clear to us from day one. He always tells you got your back, and it's very comfortable there. You say anything, do anything within reason, of course, but it's a good work environment. And they always teach you, like if you're doing something wrong, they'll take the time out and they'll show you how to do it properly. It's like I said, I've been there 3 months and I've learned a few things that I didn't know, but I think I knew a bunch of it coming into it. So,
but skills got honed and kind of being
well, when you live on a farm, you do half the stuff you're doing now. So it hasn't changed too much. So
yeah, Kylen, same thing. I mean,
that's one of the greatest parts, like Jason said, is our other coworkers as well as our foremans have been so helpful in helping me learn how to handle some of this equipment, like backhoe, the skid steer, the mini excavator. I've gotten to play with that a little bit, and it's fun. But from growing up without any of that, I didn't grow up on a farm, so this is my first experience with a lot of it, other than a forklift that I got to use at a previous job. But it's nice having coworkers and management who are so willing to go out of their way to help you learn things, to correct you, and not in a harsh way, but as a growing experience.
And it seems like there's a really good mixture too of, we had Parker and Smitty on, and they're from the younger generation like you, Kylen, and you have Jason, who's maybe an elder statesman, to put in a friendly way. Different generations, different things, different strokes for different folks, all that. But it seems like there's a good mixture of, the younger generation and the more seasoned generation. They're there to help along, and I just love that kind of that mixture, that dynamic that you guys have. Do you guys see it too, where they're different phases of life, but at the same time, there's one great cause that you guys are.
It's amazing some of the conversations we get into, and the older generation, as you put it,
the more seasoned, not older. You're only as old as you feel.
It's like some of the things the older generation talk about, the youngins will be like, "What are you talking about?" So it's. I
need an example. You got an example? Anyone that you can talk about?
Movies. Okay. Like sometimes you'll bring up a movie or like a music artist, and the younger will be like, "Who are you talking about?"
Kyle's looking around like,
It's entertaining. That's all I can say.
On the thread. And any examples that we're talking about here? Certainly not like Elvis or the Beatles or anything.
I'll put it this way: when my first day of work, I was trained, and the two guys that were training me combined were 1 year older than I was, and it's like, wow, that was a shocker right there.
Kylen, how do you guys work with the seasoned, with the seasoned statesman of the street team?
Well, it's definitely challenging because I'm not sure how many of you know Lonnie, but me and Jason's age combined still isn't as old as Lonnie is. But the gap isn't actually that hard, in my opinion. It's especially the seasoned guys are still very courteous to helping the newer guys learn how to do things, and teaching Jason how to do newer things is challenging. Kind of hard to teach an old dog a new trick.
A seasoned dog, right?
Yeah.
Jason's losing it over here. He's losing it. But this is part of the whole dynamic that I absolutely love about the street department. A lot of different departments within the city. Like when it comes to joking around and all that, absolutely, let's do that. But then when it's time to get down to business and the tandem plowing and that type of stuff, there is like a focus that kind of jumps in there. Do you guys feel that as well within the street department and maybe the city as well?
Like when we got the snow call and we had to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning, when you walk in and you're doing that and plowing, there is no joking. You're going straight to work, and your job is to make sure everybody keeps safe. And so when it comes down to work, we absolutely work. Don't get me wrong, we have fun otherwise.
Oh, I can tell.
But when it gets down to work, we work. There is no problem with that.
Awesome.
There is no issue with that whatsoever.
Awesome. But what do you think as we wrap up here? And we appreciate both Kylen and Jason joining us here on our Love in Lebanon podcast episode. The future of the street department. You guys looking to just keep on keeping on? You guys want to continue to grow as a group? Goals for the department? That's kind of a deep and philosophical question, but we want you with the street department as long as possible with the
Well,
city.
I'll put it this way. I plan on retiring from here. I really do. I like it that much already that I plan on retiring.
I mean, what is it about the gig that you're that much in love and we're
Just the camaraderie.
Okay.
I can walk into work every day, and whether I'm in a bad mood or not, it's always going to be an interesting day. Might not go the way you want it to, might go a different path. It's always going to be entertaining. I'll put it that way. Every time you walk in the door, it's always going to be entertaining. So.
Kyle, I'm not going to say you need to retire from the Lebanon Street Department. I know that are you 20, 21?
20.
20. So we're not going to put that on you because Jason is a bit more seasoned. We can put that on you. But any goals within the department? Learn some new skills, make some new acquaintances, and just grow in the job, and we'll see what happens type thing?
Yeah, just rolling with the new experiences, getting to learn new traits, new skills. It's definitely a good kind of job for that, and especially with the kind of people I work with, it's a good job to have, and I look forward to working here for a while.
Outstanding people work at our street department, and we thank both Jason and Kylen for joining us here on the podcast, and thank you for listening as well and putting up with all the things that we've said in this episode. More episodes are just ahead. Take care, everybody.